It's the weekly 30-30 trading list on the ASX. We're looking at the 30 strongest momentum companies over the last quarter and then dialing in to have a look at the week's 30 best launchpad stocks. As the market comes off its lows, we see some breaking out, some running hard. This is where we differentiate those that are really running strongly and then those that are building the bases set up for the next move. Gary Glover has scanned the list, surfaced the ones that he likes best, and he's going to walk us through them this morning. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Yeah, I'm excellent, Chris. There you go.
Well, I'm looking at a chart there, and it doesn't seem like it's a part of the current market because the market's been on the nose, and this one's rallied over 100%. So, what have you got there?
Yes, that's your number one on the list. I always like to sort of throw that in there. So, yeah, so it's had a pretty nice move. Obviously, it's obviously, as you say, doesn't look like it looks like the opposite to most stocks at the moment. Yeah, the only thing to be mindful of there is, I guess, that's had a pretty large correction. So from $3 down to what, sub two, what, 225 or something like that. That's a 75-cent drop there. So that's the largest correction of the move there. And then we're rallying here on this light volume. So to me, that's a bit of a, often referred to this as a bit of an overbalance, the largest correction of the move. And then light volume there. So that's just telling me to be very careful with this one. So if I had that one, I would be keeping it pretty tight. The ones from your list that I quite liked, like the look of sort of Imugene IMU, which I think was number 3 there. Just sort of had this little, went up to the old high, had a bit of a pullback. There was some not bad volume on the way out. Pullback sort of dried up. Volume was okay in here without being awesome, but then we had this little shimmy under the high, maybe a little cup and handle there. And then we've sort of just popped up through there. So not huge volumes there, but certainly in the sector that it is making a lot of headway. So in that sort of 30 momentum stocks there's a lot of sort of medical, biomedical stocks in that list there. So definitely, what was it? I think I saw a quote there from Weinstein there, sort of talking about, 2 stocks that have, that have had a strong run. If you choose the one in the strong sector versus the one that's in a weak sector, the strong sector is always going to outperform. So, not only we want to be choosing the right stocks, we want to be choosing the right sectors as well. So if we get a good signal within a good sector, then that's even better.
It's a good, like a macroeconomic tailwind kind of helping the stocks along, is it?
Yeah, I think the rationale was, I think Weinstein basically said if we had a choice between 2 stocks that had given us a bit of a buy signal, one was in a weak sector and the other one was in a bullish sector, we choose the bullish sector every single time. That's the one with a better performance longer term. So kind of makes sense. So speaking of sort of strong sectors there, so Polynovo was sort of one that we spoke about previously. Bit of a sort of cup and handle in here, and then we've sort of pushed on there. We've seen pretty good volume here the whole way through here, Polynovo. It's good volume through here, good volume up to the top here again, good volume here, another good volume rally here. All these pullbacks are all on light volume, so the selling's light. So so it's kind of constructive. It's just sort of going up at a moderate pace here, but does look pretty good. Sector's pretty good. So I think Rhythm Bio, RHY, again, in that biotech sort of sector as well. Rhythm Bio's got the blood test for, instead of the poo test, basically. So it'll be popular amongst older men like myself. But yeah, technically obviously this stock's had a pretty good run historically. It had a pretty amazing run here, but it's a good run here, bit of a pause, and then it'll tightened up again. There's a VCP and then a pop. I did trade some of that actually. I thought that looked quite good at the time. But yeah, it has sort of, again, we're congesting back here. It's just sort of one to keep an eye on here. That's good, not bad volumes coming out of here. There's that little, we talked about it earlier, that little tightening up sort of, you see there, not the best little VCP in there, but did sort of tighten up again. And the thing you notice about through there is that you see no volume. When you go sideways after a little pop there and no volumes comes in. That's what we're looking for there.
And just before that big breakout day, you've got Is that what do those smaller days tell you? Those in between the red candle and then the big pop? What's happening there?
Yeah, just obviously that's just super light here. So when you're going, this is sort of we talked about like I think it was David Ryan who's like won the US investing championships a couple of times. He talked about that's what he's sort of looking for. Usually, sort of stocks maybe getting up towards their highs or near a high, and then just that sort of really tight, trading on its side here under the high. So if you trade under its high there, so it's probably not ideal scenario there, but obviously that was a mini high there, and then trading nice and tight under the high, and then you pop through it. That's the one he'll be chasing that going through there. So, but yeah, again, it's just the sector. There's lots in that sector there. I think RHC as well. Another one there. The volume's probably not as impressive through here. This one's probably not taking the fancy as much as some of the others. CUVs looks quite good as well. It's again not good volumes down at the lows through here. So I actually saw some elevated volumes through there. Good volume, a little bit lower on the pullback. Okay, volumes through here. Again, a bit lighter on the pullback. And again, we sort of, that's the first day down on a pretty wide range. That's like, if you understand sort of volume analysis, whether you read Anna Cooling volume analysis, or if you read all the Wyckoff theory. One of the things about Wyckoff was that sort of price should sort of should do certain things. So if you've got a big up day, like a day like that, then you should have reasonable volume there. A big wide range should actually attract wide volume. So if you get a wide range day that's a wide range day. That's quite a decent range for the day. The volume's so light here, so that's unusual.
Is that what they call the anomalies, where you have?
Yes, yeah. So basically, sort of Wyckoff sort of said that basically like small range day should be small volume, big range day should be bigger volume. So if there's an anomaly there, then it's telling you something there. So that was able to sort of go down that day, but there was no volume there. So it was like the buyers were just sitting back here, or there was no volume going through. People weren't really prepared to sort of there wasn't too much conviction going on. So so just interesting there. So there's some good signs there as well. Getting above the 50 moving average as well is a good sign. So just that sector is pretty interesting. So I think CSL has had a pretty good run as well. So we just sort of know that there's a lot happening in that sector. Is pretty robust there. So that's the positives there. I think the other one that I thought was interesting there was New Hope Coal. Obviously, coal's been pretty robust there. I think we spoke about this previously up here, Chris. Remember, I think at the time there we'd sort of gone to a new high. I'm a bit worried about these false breaks too. So if we go to a new high, and this was like the largest correction of the move so far. This is all through here, small corrections.
And the overbalance of the trend, I think you were saying at the time.
Overbalance of the trend. So sometimes these can actually snap back either to make a lower high, something like this, or they can actually go to marginal new high, and then so if they go to a marginal new high, like in this case up here, then usually they come back to and make a marginal new low. So go back below this swing low, which is exactly what it did. So it came back to made a new low down there. What's interesting here is the volumes on that down day. It was actually some pretty interesting. That's the first time I've actually seen a bit of selling for the stock on the way down here. So good selling here off the first shoulder, bigger selling down here. And look at this, all this rally here, light volume. So light. Biggest volume day is where?
Right at the top.
Right at the top, so at the high there. So to me, this is kind of showing signs of distribution here. The fact that we're actually, I saw a lot of people saying, obviously coal prices are hot, going to a new high. I saw a few guys actually calling this a buy here today, just some classic guys who tend to pick highs and tend to get out of your stocks when the market's at the low. So I just saw a few people recommending this today. So, but the technicals, that's telling us here that volume is a concern here, because that's really the highest volume day. That hasn't come in on the way down, or hasn't come in early here. It's come in late. So just got to watch this here. I think if we saw a close below the previous high there, so close below 410, I'd be concerned about that. So I know coal prices, energy, all the rest of it's all pretty robust there. Even though, yeah, I think an inflationary report we put out a while back there talked about, I think, energy sector was the top performing sector for the decade, and the inflation was high. I think precious metals was number 2, but that hasn't been the case here so far. But in the day, just be careful of the technicals there, just telling us to be a little cautious. Only other stocks on the list was PPS. So this doesn't look too bad actually here. Nice little, some okay volume on this drive here, and pull back here on pretty light volume here. So look, I don't know if it's a super bullish market here. It's kind of a bit more of a grindy market. So I think you got to get your timings right here. I don't know if I'd be chasing stuff here, but not the worst looking chart there. And I think Aristocrat was the last one on the list there, which again sort of had that sort of consolidation there, and it's sort of broken up out of there. So some reasonable volume in here as well. So you got to think too, obviously, this sector's been under the pump here. No hospitality, sort of not many sort of machines in use. So as we all get back out and about again, should be good for Aristocrat. So
is that the kind of pattern that you're looking for? You sort of get up to the swing high and then sideways shimmy, or is that?
It's not bad. Yeah, I like to sort of see it maybe, under the high there, or probably more of a tighter formation rather than, I know Minervini will call this the tennis ball moment, where you see a bit of a drop off and then it rebounds really strongly. So that's a good sign for the stock when you see a nice recovery like that. So, but yeah, look, that's probably positive sort of for me, breaking a swing high there, and it stayed pretty tight here. But yeah, so it looks positive to me. I think the weekly looks positive as well. It is in a recovery sector as well, so that looks pretty constructive, really. So all those look all right. Those are probably the best ones there. I just thought it was pretty interesting that we're just seeing more. I think I've talked about healthcare and biotech for the last month, but we're just seeing more and more stocks coming through in that same area. It's kind of interesting. So on the weekly momentum, so looking at basically the ones that have moved the short term here, had the biggest moves here recently. So AGH is sort of one that caught the eye there, just because probably a little small in terms of dollar-wise market cap, but some pretty interesting volumes coming in down here. Some good volumes down at the low, and then we're seeing some good volumes here. So that's sort of interesting technicals. Airtasker was sort of one that I sort of saw as well. I thought there's some the stock that's been, this has been pretty low volume all the way through here. Starting to see a little bit more volume here, and then definitely a bit more volume at the low here. So maybe a little exhaustive here. So starting to see a little bit of building here. Maybe got above the 20 moving average, still below the 50. But yeah, some volume starting to come in here, starting to flatten out as well. So that's probably one that's been beaten up pretty bad. Could be one to watch there. ZLG just had a big move there, so don't know the stock particularly well, but really impulsive move. Broke the 50-day and then wow, just kept going. Volume is pretty light here, so that's it's moved there without too much volume there. MVP was one again, another one of that sort of biotech. So it's had a bit of a bounce off the lows there. Some okay volume there. Obviously, this is pretty. Again, look at the light volumes all the way through here. Starting to pick up down here, some reasonable volumes. Then we got a bit of a move here, a little bit of congestion and pop here. Volumes drying up here, so it's sort of one to probably keep an eye on for some sort of consolidation there. But I think MVP is the Green Whistle group there. I think they're still trying to get FDA in the States. So there is potentially a couple of catalysts there for this thing, if they're able to get some more approvals there for their Green Whistle there. So it's definitely one to put on the radar and keep an eye on there. But yeah, probably just want to see how this consolidates in here.
So a lot of upside risk potential, and what you look for, keep it on the watch list to see a constructive chart formation, compression, volume, volatility, that kind of thing? Or
yeah, it's a mean downtrend, so pretty nasty, but definitely seen some volume pick up here the last month. And it's had a little bit of an impulsive bounce here. So we want to sort of see if it can build upon that first. We're still below the 50-day moving average, which is still a bit negative for me. I like to sort of see it above the 50. But yeah, there's just, I know a few analysts are talking about this stock as potentially got a catalyst that might, be positive for it in the future. But I think it has been waiting for this catalyst for a long time, so it could well be waiting for it for a lot longer yet. So don't just buy it because you think it'll get the right catalyst there. But yeah, it's definitely one to sort of keep an eye on there. Yeah, if the price action starts to move there, then there's, it could be sort of something occurring there. But what else do I see? Universal UNI will look quite good. So again, we've got a little bit of a bounce in here. Volumes are okay. It's looks pretty patchy at best to the stock here, so pretty lightly traded. Had a bit of a pullback here. I just saw a few guys again talking about Universal as well, bit of a preferred stock in that retail area. And we got a little pivot day there, obviously just, not the best VCP, but we got a little bit of a pullback and a jump through there. But again, volumes are pretty light. Well, 66,000 traded today, so not pretty lightly. So that was yesterday. So pretty lightly traded. That's what we traded today, probably 535 shares. So yeah, so not
light on,
very light. So not the sort of thing that I would probably be trading too much there. So last one I saw was a lithium play. LIT had a bit of a bounce, but again the volumes are pretty light. So not the sort of high conviction sort of thing you'd be jumping at there. So what wasn't obviously it's a pretty negative week in the market. So there wasn't too many sort of good short-term sort of signals there. What there was on the quarterly, of course, that was just definitely showing that our thematic around healthcare and biotech that seems to be growing in that in the 30 list. There's definitely a lot more healthcare and biotech stocks creeping into that list. So we should be probably looking at that list. Like grouping a lot closely.
That's probably a good point, because over the weeks and months you've done this in this second list, the later list, times you've noticed thematics, whether it's precious metals or biotechs and healthcare. It seems so they end up in this second list first, and then they make their way through to the leading momentum list in the first list a couple of weeks later. So when you're looking for a trade, like you were saying with Stan Weinstein earlier, you're looking for trades, but then also you're looking at the group and the thematic at the same time to see if there's strength within that industry.
That's right, yeah. So obviously previously there we had sort of stocks, like I think Polynovo might have been one of the first ones to pop in there. Might have even been PME as well. What else was a few sort of popped in that sector originally. So yeah, alerted to listening. So we start going through the list there. I thought, okay, it looks pretty interesting. And then you start seeing more come in there. I mean, sometimes I think like we saw gold pop in there, go back a couple of months ago, popped in there for about 2 or 3 weeks and then faded and didn't see them again. But then you saw things like we saw, obviously like the coal and energy come in there and then stay there and just continue to keep going. So you don't know which one you're going to get, whether you're going to get sort of something which is short-lived or something which can keep going. Well, all I know is that the strongest stock on the board, they tend to stay in that list for a long time. So we want to be on those ones. So we're kind of identifying them early. So, the thing there with if you're in the biotechs there, like some of those have moved. There's something, I've got some positions on there where I've managed to, for me, if I get my position to break even, if I'm on there and it starts moving, then I sort of scale in and then it keeps going higher, and then I move myself to break even. Then I feel like I've got nothing to risk really.
Clarifying, moving your stop to break even, right?
Yes, that's right. So if I put a position and it goes higher, then I add to it on a second trigger, and then it goes higher again. Then I might move my if I can get my sort of stop to I keep edging my stop higher as it moves higher. But then if I manage to sort of get a scaled up position and if I get myself to break even, then if it does turn back down again, then nothing lost, potentially, except the opportunity of making more money. So, but what you want to do is that sometimes, if it's like the coal and the oil stocks, they continue to run there, and obviously the lithium stocks they were running and running. So if you could get those positions on, get them onto scale and get them onto break even, and they keep running, and then away you go. So we're going to get, sometimes they're not going to run. So the gold stocks there, I think I got Evolution and Silver Lake on. They had a bit of a pop. I moved them all up to break even, and then they all broke through and they stopped me all out. I made no money at all on those trades, but I did scale up, did everything according to my plan, got a position on, left myself positioned to sort of make hopefully some good money, but didn't happen. So as a trader, all you need to do is have a plan, follow your plan, and the market's going to do. It's Mark Douglas, sort of the trading psychology there. It's just, you just got to put yourself in a position to win. And it's an odds to numbers game, so you're going to get stopped out sometimes. So the guys who lose on the trading side are the ones who are pulling out their stops, moving them or leaving them out, or keep moving them down, or they don't trade against a plan. I mean, I mentioned to you today, I traded something against my plan today. So I've been really disciplined for most of this year. Haven't put on too many trades outside of my normal plan. I've got a stop in place here, and I might take a little loss on it. That's the most important thing for me. But secondary was probably the first time I've bought something on another basis rather than, outside of my normal playbook. So we really want to sort of have a playbook. Certain setups that we like, trade those setups, just become an expert at those setups, become a master at those setups, just know everything about those setups, and then become that's as far as all the homework I've done on the best traders that are out there. That's all they do. They narrow their focus. They're good at certain things. They master those, and they just stay in their lane. So one of the reasons why I know I got held back previously was that I ventured outside of my lane too often, and do all the hard work, get some good trades, I'll make some money, and then venture out of your lane, do something on a whim, and then lose money pretty quickly and think, oh, geez, what am I doing? So the last year I've been really disciplined. So it's probably the first time in a long time I've done something outside of that. But that's the life of a trader, unfortunately. So we just get to clip ourselves over the back of the head and say, don't do that again. And then hopefully I can go another year without making too many mistakes, and have another good year.
Definitely, now's probably a good point to point out your Tuesday interviews where you're consistently going through your trading report that you generate on a weekly basis, and that's the playlist. I'll put it on screen to the right now, and then also the VCPs that you've mentioned a few times in today's. We'll put that on screen as well, where we've covered that in detail, what that trading strategy is, how it works, and the trading criteria to look for. So on that note, Gary, we've had a lot of charts, a lot to look through, and a lot of insights, which is really important for trading and plans. And we say thank you once again, Gary Glover from Novus Capital.
Thanks, Chris.